Welcome back to the warm up with John Ben. Today we're continuing our season outlook on the Phoenix Suns. Before we get into it, please like, comment, subscribe, turn on that notification bell so you never miss an episode of the warm up. And then we have our new Instagram and Twitter followings in the description below. All right, let's get into it. The Phoenix Suns, man, what a team we have here. They traded away Kevin Durant after acquiring him just a couple years ago. They bought out Bradley Beal, one of the biggest buyouts in NBA history. Um, and then they did a couple things around the margins on draft night. They traded for Mark Williams, and then 10 seconds later drafted Kamal Mawak. And yeah, let's get into it. Wild offseason for the Suns.
All right, let's go ahead and get into the roster right here. Let's just go ahead and see what Phoenix has. All right, shoot, I'm sorry, guys, that's not the roster. 1 second. That's not it either. Crap, hold on. Dang, where's the roster, man? My fault. Oh, okay, here it is. Okay, never mind, got it. Okay, so besides that, we're gonna start off at the top. Devin Booker, obviously your franchise guy. This is the guy. This is Phoenix. You've invested everything in him.
Extended.
Jalen Green, you're bringing him in to pair with Devin Booker. You also brought in a great defender in Dylan Brooks. Grayson Allen, who just got that extension a little while back. He is coming back once again. Royce O'Neal, 3-and-D guy. Mark Williams, who you traded for on draft night. Then you got big boy in the draft, and then as well as Nick Richards to back up that center position. Ryan Dunn, who has a lot of upside. Jordan Goodwin, who was with the Lakers last season. And then Jalipsy. And then there's some other guys down there. But for the most part, some of the guys I've mentioned, there's just a lot going on here. I'm just going to keep it straight. I just think that some of the decisions that were made in this organization, not just last year, but in previous years, putting this team together, were just flat out disastrous. Yeah. Here's the thing. I didn't really even dislike the Kevin Durant trade to get him in the first place. Yes, you gave up Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, but you're pairing KD with Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton at the time, as well as Chris Paul, which I was like, okay, you know what? This can work. But I think when this all fell apart in Phoenix was when they traded for Bradley Beal, because it wasn't even necessarily the fit at first. The second I saw it, I thought to myself, okay, 50 million, 50 million, 50 million. You got 350 million guys. And as you know, in the NBA, the new CBA makes it impossible for you to pay max salaries to even two guys in some cases. But when you've got three, that's over $150 million of salary that you're giving out to the three guys. And we saw in the past couple seasons, especially this last season, Phoenix had to fill out the rest of their roster with vet minimum contracts, which you will not win in the NBA that way. So looking at that, that's kind of put them in a bad spot. But if I'm being generous, they are heading for a recovery here. They have a few pieces that are going to get them in the right direction. This is just going to take a long time, though, to recover from. What are your thoughts?
No, yeah, I totally agree. I think them not having their own draft picks for still a couple more years kind of hurts them, because I think they're a team that they know they have to win. Because if not, I mean, they don't own their draft picks, so it's not like they could be bad on purpose anyway and tank. From a roster construction, they just have a lot of duplicate positions, a lot of the same. Like they have a bunch of shooting guards, they have a bunch of wings, which is not a bad thing to have, but they really don't have a point guard. And then a team that had probably some of the worst center rotations in the last couple of years, they've really bolstered that position.
Yeah.
I mean, drafting Kamal Mawak, I was very high on him coming into the draft. But then trading for Mark Williams as well is kind of interesting while still having Nick Richards on the team. But I think if Ryan Dunn could have a second-year leap, because I believe he's that prototypical 3-and-D wing, and then you bring in a guy like Dylan Brooks, who is a culture setter and who does help young teams that don't have a lot of direction, I think they'll be a lot better on defense than people realize with Dylan Brooks and Ryan Dunn. But like you said, I mean, if you're going to have Devin Booker extending on these deals, you still have Jalen Green, who we didn't even get into yet, a player who we saw against Golden State last year in his first playoff game. And I'll give him grace. Like, yeah, it was his first playoff run. But come on, dude, 8 points. Like, we could do better than that. Yeah, it's just a team that doesn't have a lot of – I think they will have an identity, but they don't have a direction on where they're going. So, yeah.
Yeah, you are right about the center position. Them getting Mawa in the draft is a big deal, and then obviously Mark Williams, who uh, was on his way to Los Angeles, if not physical. Uh,
Yeah,
so he has a lot of upside on the offensive end. Not sold on his defense whatsoever. AD put up 40 and 20 on him last year before the trade went down, and there were a bunch
yeah,
of centers that had. I think Daniel Gafford had 30 on him twice. So
yeah.
defensively, there's a lot of question marks there. I'll get into the Jalen Green portion. As I said for Houston, uh, Rockets fans knew his days were numbered, especially when you're going to get a guy like Kevin Durant. They're going to ask for Jalen Green. Very interested to see how he fits with Devin Booker. I do think it's going to be a better fit than Bradley Beal because Bradley Beal is one of those guys that commands the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
Uh, Jalen Green, not as much. I don't know if that kind of makes sense to the basketball mind, but I think this could potentially fit better than Bradley Beal. So I'll keep my eyes out on that. Dylan Brooks is no slouch. Great 3-and-D defender. Did a lot for Houston. Was really great in Memphis. I think he could be the same thing here. He fits the Phoenix archetype of just kind of being that bully ball guy that they really need. I'll go ahead and speak to the Bradley Beal thing real quick. Obviously, you buy him out. I think ultimately that was the right decision.
Yeah. So
Obviously, you
too.
got to pay for it because you're going to be paying that man till the end of time. But
Yeah.
you get off the contract, you don't have to deal with the bad fit anymore, and Bradley Beal gets to go to the Clippers and kind of forge his own path. So I think that's a good move for them. Where do you expect this team finishing in the West this season?
I think this team's ceiling is probably an A seed. I could see them sneaking into the playoffs and being like that A seed, but I do think they're a play-in-ish team or a play-in team. I think that's what they'll hover around for the most of the year. I will say if they're anything below that, or even if they're still a play-in team, I think there needs to be some front office like flexibility. Like, hey, let's kind of pick a direction here and see if you could get some draft picks for like a guy like Jalen Green, a guy like Dylan Brooks, a guy like Grayson Allen, because they don't have any draft picks, and you have like if you're gonna be bad, you got to be bad with at least some draft picks. So I think they should be flexible with that. I don't hate their team, and I've watched them in preseason, and they don't look as bad as I think people make it out to be. But it's also preseason, so you take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah,
You could tell like there'll be a lot more fun team to watch, and like Kevin Durant said it best on Twitter, like a team's a lot more fun to watch when there's no expectations for them, and I think that's exactly
yeah.
where we're at. Yeah, what are your thoughts?
Um, I don't think this team makes the play-in. I think
Mhm.
this is going to be a bottom feeder in the West. I think they could finish anywhere from 11 to 14. I really don't know. I look at this roster and I see Devin Booker, and then past that, you kind of just lose me. I think Jalen Green is a potential guy, but I don't think he's a guy that's going to impact winning yet.
Right.
Yet, keyword yet.
Yeah.
Um, Mark Williams defensively is like I said, lacking, and then Mawa is it's only his rookie season, and then you've got the guys like Gillespie and Grayson Allen
Hmm.
who can provide your shooting, but there's just not a lot of standout on this roster. Look, could they make the play? And sure, I mean, like if you're in the West, I mean, like or even the East for that matter, like it's not that hard to make the play, and you just got to be like slightly under 500 or slightly above. I mean, like
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. I don't know. I think if I'm being generous, probably either an 11 or maybe sneak into the play-in. But I
Yeah.
personally do not think they're going to get in. This is a big rebuild year for them. They're obviously resetting by getting rid of their big superstars, and Devin Booker can only handle so much of a load.
You're right. No, yeah, I agree. I think it just kind of sucks for them, especially from a fan perspective. They were in the finals like 4 years ago, and it's just been cataclysmic since. I think they're a team that probably still needs a trade for a point guard, depending on how things go, or they just need some upside. Like you have Devin Booker, you have a cornerstone, right? But is Devin Booker? I don't think he's the best player on a championship team. I think he's a number two.
Yeah,
So it's like it's also trying to deal with that as well.
yeah,
I think for them they need a lot of internal growth and development. I mean, if Mawak hits, you have a chance to have a 20-10 guy at his ceiling in a couple years, with defensive paralysis, like real defensive playmaking skills. So yeah, I think it could be a rough. I think there'll be a fun watch on some
Yeah,
nights, but if the second it starts tanking, I could see it getting uncomfortable in that locker room for sure.
yeah. One more thing on Phoenix. Like when you were saying like this team needs to find a direction, I immediately thought, okay, ride out some bad years and go draft a superstar. They
Mm-hmm.
can't.
Yeah,
So it's like they don't control their pick until
I think it's 2030, 30.
2030. I mean,
Yeah,
you know, you're gonna have to make some hard decisions. You're gonna have to acquire some first round picks. So I'm betting what they're hoping on is that some of these guys can emerge and get value, and they're gonna realistically have to trade them if they want to do anything because you don't control your picks for 1, 2, 3, like almost 5 or 6 years.
mm-hmm.
So you got to have a direction. You're going to be one of those teams that is stuck.
Yeah,
And you can obviously recruit through free agency, but
yeah,
you know they're going to be they're not going to have much cap space to dish out after giving Booker the big deal, and you're bringing in Brooks' salary and Green's salary, and you obviously have the dead money with Bradley Beal.
yeah.
There's just a lot of salary going out, so very interesting situation. But I think for Matt Ishbia, there's a way out. He's a very smart man. I think they can figure out a way to right the ship here.
Yeah.
But they're just gonna have to ride out a couple bad years, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I think the elephant in the room too, last thing is like if it's really that bad, I think they'll just have to trade Devin Booker. He's the only asset they have that they could get at least 3 to 4 draft picks.
Yep.
They don't even need good draft picks. They just need draft picks that are first rounders at this point. So we'll see. They turned Houston's first round pick from last year into Kamal Mawak. We'll see how that works. Could be a lot better to trade than we think, but I think Dylan Brooks has some real value around the league and a 3 and D guy, and he doesn't make ungodly amount of money, so it's easy to make the salaries match. But yeah,
Good word. I fully agree.
yeah. So that wraps up our season outlook for the Phoenix Suns. Please like, comment, subscribe on the video. Please follow the Instagram and Twitter followings in the description below. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Peace and stay safe.